Hi and welcome to the Allianz Grad Roundtable. I'm Alexander Jenkins. It's great to have you joining us. Today I'm joined by Allianz grads Laura, Aidan, Yasmin, Will and Nancy.
Howdy.
Thanks, Alexander. Good to be here.
Thank you for joining us. We are so excited today to hear about your experience as grads and as Allianz grads particularly. Tell me, what's an average day in the life of a grad? You get up, you turn your alarm off, you complain about the fact you have to get out of bed, you get on the tram or the train or whatever, you're at the office. What next?
Grab a coffee.
Grab a coffee. What's your order?
I get a mocha.
That's not a coffee. You wouldn't hack it in Melbourne, Nancy.
Really?
No, mocha's not a coffee. So you get a coffee,
Yeah.
then what?
Well, before the coffee, you have to get it to your desk because we sit at different desks every day. We hot desk.
The best
Right.
way I find to start the day before you get into work is just, catching up with everyone. And you get to, sometimes as a grad especially, you get to see what they've been working on and you kind of go, ooh, what's that? And, I've gotten so many 10, 15-minute masterclasses from people just about things that I've kind of stumbled onto them working on. And all of a sudden, I've kind of broadened my understanding and just by saying hello to someone.
I suppose at some stage you do have to do some work. The hellos have to stop. And then I find for me, my day goes from not having really anything planned, just doing some work, to suddenly I get tapped on the shoulder and said, come with me, come sit in this meeting, you'll actually learn a lot. And the context isn't necessarily there to start, but you pick up very quickly.
You pick it up along the way,
and by the end of it, you're across a topic that you didn't know 30 minutes
Existed.
earlier.
And because there's no
Exactly.
expectation for it as well. You're just kind of do you want to tag along to this, see what you pick up, see what you don't, ask questions later. And then, in the workday as well, you go through ebbs and flows when it comes to work style, right? Sometimes you're doing something more collaborative and sometimes you just need to put your head down and work on something. And so, there's the hot desks where you can sit with everyone, and there's also the library section, which when, my day, if my day gets a little bit busier or if I just have to knuckle down on something, I can go and just kind of sit in a booth and just be in my own workspace and just work at my own pace.
What did you think it was going to be like starting in a big corporation? Did you think it was going to be like this?
Well, I studied data at uni and I kind of am excited by the idea of working at a place that has such big possibilities of how they can impact people with their data. So Allianz always really interests me, that kind of insurance and how we can help people just by using data, and I like having that real personal impact on people.
What's your role in data? I mean, what is data?
That is a fabulous question. I
You're
get
gonna be
asked
sick
that
of that question.
literally every single day. And honestly, I've studied for 5 years in data. I'm now working in the data program, and I probably couldn't answer that question to its full extent. But to me, studying data science and being a data analytics stream at Allianz, I kind of think of myself as a little detective, but I'm detecting through numbers. So I get a lot of data and I try and pull trends from them, kind of look at campaigns that Allianz has gone through and see if they've worked, if they've not worked. Personally, I'm not that technical. I know there's definitely more technical sides of stuff. So you've got those deep analysts that are
right into the numbers.
they're writing everything, they're building the models. Probably a bit too back end for me.
Too much data detective detection.
Yeah, whereas I like the data that's nice that they give me that I detect. Because I also kind of like seeing the outcome of what I do. Whereas they kind of just spit out the data and then I build something, I do something with it. I kind of like seeing how that then how that changes a campaign or how that impacts something else within the company. I kind of like seeing an impact of what I do rather than just doing something for the sake of doing something.
Yeah, the number crunching's for some people, but it's
but
it's
not
got
for
to suit you,
Yeah,
right?
it's not for everyone,
yeah, absolutely.
and that's totally fine.
Don't you do data?
Well,
Well, kind of.
I'm a general insurance grad. That's what my stream is,
Right,
but I'm
okay.
currently doing a data rotation.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry, that's what I meant,
because
yeah.
I do love numbers. I studied numbers for 6 years at uni. So the
Yeah,
fact that I have
typically.
that flexibility within the program to be able to do one rotation in data, even though it's not part of my contract, it's not part of the job requirements as a general insurance grad, is amazing. I'm doing portfolio analysis right now.
Ooh,
so
fancy.
very fancy, very interesting, loving it.
What does that mean? What is it? What are you
Explain to a young child.
What is a portfolio? What are you
What is it?
analyzing?
So the portfolios we have of insurance. So home insurance, motor insurance, we're analyzing how they're performing. Are they good? Are they bad? And if they are good or bad, why are they good or bad?
it's one thing to see it's doing badly in an area, but actually trying to figure out why.
Understanding
Yeah,
why it's bad.
little
Yeah.
detective work, trying
How
to figure
can
out
we-
what's going wrong there.
Yeah, we can
You're
also
loving,
do
you're loving
detective.
this detective idea.
Hey, I wanted to be a forensic.
You wanted to join the police force or something. That's what we're about to hear. This is the first and last
She's
time.
not actually a grad, she's undercover. This is
The first and last time we're going to meet with Laura. Next minute, she'll have
joining
resigned.
the
She's
force,
joined the
yeah.
one of
police
us is going to disappear all of a sudden. There's going to be no trace.
Laura's on the case. Laura's on the. You've watched too much true crime.
Oh, love it.
You're
Yeah.
ready to go. You're ready to go. It's so funny.
It's actually pretty cool that you can do a rotation outside of your own, because I've never considered it. That, I mean, I'm not that technical, so I wouldn't have thought I could go into a profession or a career
don't want to
in
become an
data.
actuary?
But without any experience, to be able to step in for 6 months at quite a sort of
But
high
you don't
level
need experience.
and,
I didn't
and to
have
be
any.
taught.
Yeah.
I mean, you're walking in the door at a level that's sort of way beyond what you could possibly imagine yourself doing. And you're getting really hands-on experience. I mean, it's
And like
that's
the
pretty
team
cool.
wants you there. They're not like,
Exactly.
oh, there's this data grad joining my strategy group. What the hell am I going to do with a data grad?
Yeah.
They actually want you there because they kind of like that unique perspective that you bring to the team. Like you're not someone who's been like cookie cutted into that team. Like you're coming from a completely different area, and they actually really value that different perspective that you bring to that team.
For me, I studied like international commerce, and coming back from exchange, I really wanted to work for a company that was quite global. I felt like there would definitely be a lot of opportunities at Allianz, as well as the rotational part of the program, for me to explore my interests and to see what I really want to.
So I did actuarial studies. It's kind of a career path where you can get a little pigeonholed into something like insurance. Allianz specifically though, I kind of felt like it didn't kind of collapse too much into that because it's quite a massive company. You do get a lot of global exposure, and you get a lot of kind of exposure because just with kind of that size of a company, you get so many different kind of areas that they work in. So yeah, just kind of all-round exposure, and then grad program's great because you really get to jump across those, get that kind of holistic experience.
For those people who don't know, what is an actuary? What do you actually do? What do actuarial people do?
So an actuary basically, when you think about risks, you know, am I going to crash my car? Am I going to have to do something where all of this money that I've been saving up my entire life is gone? We basically calculate the chances of that, and we basically say, if you give us this much smaller amount of money, we'll cover you for that, because in the small chance that it does happen.
For the rest of you, was an insurer at the top of your list of places to work, or were you looking at other industries?
I wasn't necessarily looking at insurance. I just wanted a grad program. And at the time of applying to Allianz, the only thing I had known about them was that they were an insurer. And I also knew the Allianz. That's it.
Had everyone heard that before?
Yeah.
Pretty iconic. Pretty iconic. Okay, great.
For me, I was quite similar to Yasmin. I applied to like a bunch of different graduate programs across different industries: banking, finance, and insurance. So yeah, like before I came here, I didn't really know that much about what insurance was, but I really like the aspect of the grad program where it's rotational and you get to really explore the different areas of insurance and to really find out like what you like in it and then find your like niche.
I think, especially for me who studied data, a lot of the grad programs are very focused on just staying within the data team, whereas Allianz kind of will allow me to do a rotation outside of data and kind of explore what my data is actually doing like throughout the company, rather than being very much like bogged down on like just looking at these numbers and sending it to someone else and then they do something with it. I kind of like the idea of being able to see like start to finish, whereas a lot of like other programs is very much like we're back end, we're at a computer, we're looking at data and that's it.
Yeah.
So get to explore, because at uni, I don't know what I like, so I want to be able to explore.
I think that's where I sort of saw Allianz as well, with the general leadership opportunity as a grad, that it's quite a small cohort. I know with many other industries and businesses that they have very large cohorts, and Allianz being there's only 13 of us in this 2025 cohort. You get a lot of exposure and you get a lot of responsibility that you wouldn't otherwise get elsewhere. And I think especially in our line as a leadership, that you get thrust into a position and presenting in a meeting that you may have very little experience in, but it's a great opportunity, and I think the small cohort for me was a big driving factor.
Because there's so few of us as well, when we start, like they actually take the time to like bring us into the company, and they know there are holes in our knowledge and like we might not know much about insurance or something, but like because there's so few of us, they are able to take that time and actually like develop those skills or like bring us into the company so we know what we're doing, rather than like chucking 300 of us in at one time and be like, good luck.
Yeah, and you don't get a clog. Like if you're looking to do rotations, you've kind of like, it's kind of the company is your oyster.
You're not
like-
fighting off like 50
Yeah,
people
yeah,
trying to
exactly.
one
Like,
position.
yeah, like the rotation I'm doing right now, I was like picking between 3 different ones, and all of them were like, yeah, happy to have you.
Yasmin, can you share a little bit with us about how the small cohort size has really impacted your experience as a grad now that you're on the inside?
I think it's really great because if you compare it to other companies, they take up a really big intake of grads every year, and you're sort of seen as a number in a really big corporation. But at Allianz, we're less than 15 people each cohort every year. And I know in my case, I got to meet the GMs on my first day in every single team in every rotation. And I think that's really special. They sit down with you, they walk you through the whole team, and they tell you what the vision is for the team. So you really get an all-rounder knowledge going in on your first day.
Yeah, and like I'm on a first name basis with all of the GMs and, you know, like the CTO, all the C-suite basically that are kind of even anywhere close to the rotations I've been in. So it's really good. Like it really just makes you feel comfortable in the surroundings, and because they've got so much experience in the business, you can ask them questions. Like they're happy to have, you know, a 5-minute chat. As busy as they are, they're just really welcoming in that regard. And because it's such a small cohort, it's not really a burden for them, because, you know, it's like a 5-minute chat here and there with a grad is very different to you've got 100 grads who all want to talk to you and you've got stuff to do.
I find that that's the case with anyone you talk to within the company. Everyone is so willing to help, and they love grads at Allianz. If you sit down and have a chat with anyone, they're more than happy to take time out of their day to help you with whatever you need.
I think following on from that, I think what's nice is they kind of value us as like people as opposed to just like employees within a company. Like they know that we have our own interests outside of work, so they actually allow us to maybe even bring that into work and share that with people. Like first meeting my manager, she wanted to know about me outside of my work history and all of that, which I think is really nice, because I think coming into a company, it's really scary. But the fact that they want to get to know me better is nice. And when I meet people around, they tell me what they do, but then they also ask outside of work, and you get to develop that deeper relationship with people, which makes me want to come in and say hi to them.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming in, so because the grad program is 2 cohorts at the same time, because it's a 2-year program, you're not only paired up with a sponsor who's a general manager or something like that, where they can kind of get you up to speed with the industry, you've also got a grad buddy who can get you up to speed with, I mean, like you were saying, the workplace culture is so different to what you might expect. So when you've got their perspective, because they've been kind of integrating into it for the past year, you really get up to speed and you kind of, oh, I can really settle in. This is not what I expected. It kind of breaks down some of those stigmas that really tend to come with large corporations.
Especially as someone fresh out of uni who's never had exposure to a corporate environment or anything like that, it's very helpful to have a buddy to just talk you through any questions that you have, to help you figure out how you choose your next rotation, even questions as simple as where's the best coffee next to the office. That's so good to have.
Just a few days ago, we had Harmony Day, and all of our team brought in different foods from all the different cultures, and we got to enjoy lunch together. So it's definitely, that's one big part.
It's not just ticking a box that you think you,
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
corporate world, a lot of people do, that they just can say, put it on an email head that they do it. I think it actually, they mean it. I think, and I was really surprised that how they champion a lot of these issues, and it's very genuine. And a lot of people in the community actually recognize that.
Yeah, and to add to your point, Will, talking about International Women's Day, it's very easy for a company to just send a company-wide email, Happy International Women's Day, we love women, we believe in equality. But I think seeing that, like what you said, going one step further and actually seeing that in action, at Allianz, half the senior management team are women. And seeing that, for me personally, on my first day of induction, was so inspiring to see as a young woman who's just starting out in her career, and seeing that actually being put into place was amazing.
It's all just so like ingrained within the culture. Like it's not
Yeah.
this like forced thing onto us. Like it doesn't feel like we're getting this like force of equality or all this. It's like ingrained within the culture. They're not trying. It's just how it is. It's just the way that it works.
And I think having the different days is important, but it's not just one specific day. Okay, we do celebrate the days, but you see this every single day throughout the entire year at Allianz because it's just part of the culture. It's ingrained in what the company is. And seeing the senior management team, seeing how many of them are women, seeing how they're all women who look different, We come from different cultures, they come from different backgrounds. That's so inspiring to see, especially from my perspective as a woman who didn't grow up here, as a woman who comes from a different background. Seeing these people in positions of power, in positions of leadership is so inspirational. And I think it's very important because we don't all look the same. If you look at the employees of Allianz, we all look very different.
And why are different perspectives important, do you think?
To represent
Australia.
the wider company, Australia.
Like who the company's looking after, like
The customers.
We're focusing on. We're an insurance company. We're looking after the people of Australia. We need to have the people of Australia within the company
Represented.
to be able to look after the entire country. You can't have one pocket of Australia running a company.
Not only is there that diversity and that multiculturalism within Australia, we add to it and we invite it and we find ways to collaborate, not only just within ourselves, but across the world, which is something that, you can only really get when you've got that kind of global reach and that global experience.
Well, it's also so flexible. I mean, you can be traveling and you can come
the
into a
thing.
meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be on a train going home because you've got a doctor's appointment, and you can still. It's really accommodating.
can literally
for that,
have
which is
travel.
fantastic. Exactly. I mean, I spoke to one of my friends who asked their employer when they were starting, when do I get to work from home? And they said, yeah, you can work from home on a Sunday. And so, but that's not the case at all. If you've got something to do or you need to be at home for a certain amount of days, I mean, they're so flexible with that, I think, which is fantastic in this day and age.
What's it like when you go from university where everything that you produce is marked to the workplace where everything you do is not necessarily marked or critiqued, you know, you're kind of left to be autonomous. It's been 150 years since I went to school, so I don't remember what that was like, but I would be curious to know. That must be a really strange thing that every email or every PowerPoint presentation, you feel like am I gonna get an HD on this?
I think you take pride in your work. I think especially through uni, I mean, I personally, I would never submit something I wasn't happy with. And I think that just translates into work now. I think you take pride in what you do, and even though someone may never even look at what you do, it's important to me personally to really just put in the effort and
Do the best you can with
exactly,
everything.
do the best you can.
I kind of weirdly have a bit more motivation with my work now than I did at uni, just because I feel like I have a purpose. I have a purpose with what I'm doing. What I'm creating is actually impacting the company, which is awesome. I mean, I'm in the grad program. It shouldn't be doing that, but here I am making PowerPoints showing how different campaigns have impacted the company, which is kind of really exciting. Whereas at uni, you're doing work that everyone's done the past 20 years.
It's not that scary of a jump either, because yes, you have more autonomy, you've got more responsibility, and to an extent you're left to your own devices, but you get feedback. And I think that's so important, especially because there's a learning curve in terms of just understanding what's going on around you. And without feedback, it's like you're really kind of just in the dark.
I think the support is definitely there because at first, like, I'm gonna be very honest, like when I first started in the company, I had no idea anything about insurance, but like there's no dumb questions, as everyone says. Like everyone in the team is so supportive and everyone's just like, you can ask whatever you want. Like you can always just like tap one of your coworkers on the shoulder, be like, can you explain this term for me? Or can you help me with this project? Like there's no like pressure for a grad to like know everything already, which is something that I really love.
Yeah, there's a difference between saying there's no dumb questions and meaning there's no dumb questions.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know if anyone else felt this, but especially starting out in first corporate role, I didn't know how tasks were going to be set. I didn't know if something was going to be slammed on my desk and said, do it. But it's especially what I've found recently, I've got a question that goes towards a bigger picture of the whole of what we do as a company. Can you go out and do some research? Can you go and do this task? So you understand why the task you're doing is actually quite important. You're not just doing it for the sake of occupying some time.
Finishing an assignment.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's great benefit towards motivating you to do the absolute best task you can possibly do. To know that it's going towards something impacting people at the end of the day.
Everything has a purpose.
100%. And like you said, like that can be a demotivating factor in university. Like you're doing this assignment or you're doing this subject that you're like, is this relevant? It's like that kind of high school question, when am I gonna use this in my life?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, things have context. They're like, okay, can you work on this? Because we're going to use it for this. And you're like, oh, that's cool. I'm adding to this kind of chain of events that has real world impacts and outcomes.
I've still never used algebra. I don't actually know I couldn't do algebra now. I don't know who even uses algebra? There are probably people watching who use algebra.
Yeah.
Do you use algebra?
Even actuaries don't use algebra.
You don't?
That's
Okay.
one of the good things.
I thought this is going to be the death of me. I'm going to say nobody uses algebra and you're going to use algebra. Okay, so you don't. Good to know. Good to know. Nancy, tell me, when you finish university and join the grad program, do you stop studying entirely or do you continue to study once you're in your role?
I felt Allianz as a company really wants us as grads to be continuously learning, or even not just grads, but everyone to be continuously learning. So as a GI grad, we will study towards like accreditation, and we get also get study leave for that, which I find to be great.
Yep.
Yeah,
So GI grads
absolutely.
get paid study leave that we can use throughout the year right before we're studying for our exams, which will eventually better ourselves, help us become better employees for the company.
Yeah, and especially, so as working to become an actuary, the qualifications can take quite a while. So, finishing uni is kind of like the first step in, a long process, right? So not only is having that study leave support extremely important, right? Because the further you get in your qualifications, the harder it gets, and the more kind of time you need. But once you get into the workforce, it's like the less time you have. But the great thing about Allianz is that every single subject that I'm doing, I get study leave. They pay for it, which is extremely helpful because it can add up. They can be quite expensive courses, and that support is just really monumental for helping me get through my studies, because you want to become more qualified, and it adds to your, not just your value in the workforce, but it adds to your understanding and it adds to your experience and kind of helps you build as a person and as a worker.
I think that was a scary thing for me though, leaving uni and coming into Allianz going, last thing I want to do is study more. But it's actually stuff that you would want to do. And I mean, the professional development is actually really interesting. I mean, from something as simple as how would you set up a LinkedIn profile, to going far more in depth about networking and actually really useful bits of education that actually goes a long way. I mean,
all the workshops, right?
It is really useful stuff.
Yeah, that's the other thing. As a grad, throughout the program, there are multiple kind of checkpoints where we get to do workshops where it can be focused on soft skills, so your presentation, your communication, things like your personal brand, how you present yourself, just how you are in the workplace, and kind of the, just how you're presented.
Yeah,
I think it's like the
networking, how to
scariest.
properly
Yeah.
handshake,
Yeah,
things like
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, small things, how
Yeah.
to handshake, right? It's like,
On your first day, it
Yeah.
matters. How was that?
That was great.
That was a good shake. Yeah, I learned
Right.
that at work.
Game's on. Yasmin's the one to beat for the handshake, all right? Who's been to Allianz Stadium? What have you seen? What have you done? How cool is it that, I mean, for me, the first time I stepped inside Allianz Stadium since I worked at Allianz, seeing the name up there, it was actually really cool. I felt really proud.
Yeah, it's crazy to see for the first time. It's huge.
It's
So
pretty
big.
crazy. It
Yeah.
feels like you own a little bit of it, maybe. I don't know. It's
But
kind of
it's-
crazy.
it's also-
a sense of pride.
You do, you
Yeah,
do.
stepping
It's a
into
great
it.
place to watch for sport. I mean, I went and watched a footy game only recently with my mates, and because it's so sort of vertical as opposed to just sitting so far back, you're right in the center of what's going on. It's fantastic.
Where have you been?
yes, I was there for an Allianz campaign. So I was there to support, just kids sports and para sports. So it was part of the kind of Olympics sponsorship deal. And so not only did I go there to support the children and all the sports going on, but I got to do like a tour around the stadium. So I went up into like the camera setup, and I kind of got my camera out and I was like, yeah, guys, look at me.
So when you were helping the kids, were you on the, what is it called, a pitch?
Yeah.
Were you on the pitch?
Yeah, I was on the pitch, and like Ali the Eagle was there.
So you got to
running
look,
around,
you
and-
got to stand on the pitch and look up.
Oh, I got to stand on the pitch and look up. I got to stand up and look at the pitch. I got to stand over there and over there. And
How many people go to that stadium? 40,000?
I don't know. What is
What's it
that?
like looking back at 40,000 seats? What's it like looking back at 40,000 seats?
Well, I was looking back and I was like, you know what? This is what I imagined when I was 13
made it.
years old. Yeah.
I made it.
Laura, what about you?
Well, I haven't gone for sport, but I did get to take Mum recently to go see Robbie Williams, which was pretty awesome.
Did
if I
she
do
love
say-
it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Are you
loved
kidding me?
it.
Mum's favourite artist is Robbie Williams, so it was pretty awesome to go with Mum.
Your mum and I will be friends. So good. and you had a great time.
Amazing time. I mean, we're up the top, but because of the way the atmosphere goes, like the sound just radiates
Yeah, the
throughout
whole
the
vertical,
stadium. It's
yeah.
awesome.
Thanks so much, guys, for joining us on the Allianz Grad Roundtable today. It's been great to speak with all of you. For more information on careers and the grad program at Allianz, head to careers.allianz.com/AUS.